everyone, and welcome to a very long-awaited episode of the World of Dogmen. It's been an extremely long time since we've done one of these because we've never had an opportunity to do one of these. So this is actually a very fascinating story. This happened this morning, doing a session with someone that lived in Sweden that had some, wolf visions and occurrences. And what had happened was I saw a wound on this side of her right here on the right side shoulder and then back, like she'd been torn up on the back. And there was a dog man that I encountered that was the one that was interested in it. So I went ahead and looked, and apparently there was some past life stuff where it had involved a hunting party and in one lifetime, and in a previous one in Atlantis, she was actually a dog person who was a leader that left a group behind, and there was some repercussions there. Well, the leader of this particular tribe, who we're more than likely going to speak to today, is her sister from that time frame. And I thought that was actually fascinating. She looks like, we've described the Atlantean dogmen before, and they created these mixed groups in different areas of the globe, like the Rougarou of the bayous in the American South, and then you have the ones in the top of the world, which are they have more of a Romanian look to them, with the hair that goes down the face, and they have more humans that have like the hair down the face, I believe, are related to them. And there is also this group in Sweden who there was a group of dogmen that looked kind of like Chewbacca, and their leader looks exactly like how the leaders of the different groups look like. They sprang from Atlantis and then created these different tribes that adapted to different parts of the globe. And we've talked about how they have these colonies in places, and there's a large one in the forest in the top of the world, in the inner earth up there. And this is a forested area that was extreme far north of her into a not so populated area. And one of the things that they were warning me about, and they'll probably talk about it, was there were military forces there, like there are here, trying to mimic them, trying to set them up for things. They said there in Sweden there were these groups in white like snow outfits that had almost like a ghillie suit look, that they were using masks and stagecraft to do things up there. They were warning me about that. They were traipsing around up in the snowy parts of the forest, also conducting training exercises and such in this area, is what they wanted people to know in that area. And this is a very powerful group, very telepathically potent group. And like the other two skulls that we showed on previous shows, this one is the one they chose to do. This would not have been my first choice. This was one I was going to use in something else that I had molded out with.
Tell them why it looks like that. What is it made of?
This has, there's like a shungite, I believe, on the bottom there, a shungite powder that I capped it off with. And there are two plants in here. One is horsetail and the other one is rue. These are good clearers and good etheric cleansers. And what's in the top here is aluminum. So,
but the green you see is all
plant. It's all
plant.
Yeah, there's no other metal in here but the aluminum that you're seeing, and also the shungite on the bottom there. So I believe this is why they chose this. They're very elementally oriented. I found out fairly quick they also got offended at the word creature. They don't like being called creatures.
I believe someone said that, because I actually don't like them being called that either.
Yeah, there have been aliens that have slipped up and used the word creature because humans use it. But when it comes to elementals, this group, I slipped and said the word creature, and they went, we don't want to say that.
Did they say what their preference was?
Just basically woodland being or like elemental or
So
if we
they're
were trying
okay
to,
with the word being.
yeah, being, and also a dog man or dog woman or something like that. Even that was kind of iffy with this particular group too. It was more like they didn't want to be segregated as a type, type of thing. They didn't mind elemental or elemental type, but or like a being of some kind or person. I'm being told. Okay, let's see. But with creature, they took a step back with that one. And they knew I didn't mean it in an offensive tone, but they said humans, locals would call in the past would call them creatures or dark creatures or something like that. And they don't like
Well,
it.
again, I don't know, maybe hopefully they'll address this, because my whole thought on that is normally I think when people use the word creature, they add in there unintelligent in the part of the definition, like it's a.
Yeah, there's other beings that fit the term creature more, like dumber type of like predatorial type things. That would fit creature more, in their opinion. It's like
or a small insect or something really like that, But a lot of the beings, Sasquatch and different ones, they're highly intelligent, and so I think sometimes humans in their fear, they want to always feel superior, so they may use terms that actually are a bit derogatory, honestly, and I feel that that's one of them.
Yeah, to them, this is creature is a slur, so I don't blame them on that one. Now, they would say some of the stuff I found in the session. They said those are creatures, like demons and like reptilians are like, oh yeah, there's a creature in the corner there. They that's fine. But if we apply it to cryptids and stuff like that, they're like, like that. So it's more like saying demon to them, or evil, or dumb, or something like that. So that I can see their point in that. So yeah, with that, the names of them, I have the list over here. The names of the two that I came across, one was the name Tarsik, the other one was Jason. I thought they were saying Jasmine, like the tea, but it was Jason. Okay, but yeah, that's Jason is their leader. They have a matriarchal group there. Normally, you find a guy in charge in a lot of these groups. But it's like with the mer people, you find the females are in charge. And there's that damn beard again. And now it's on the side of your face this time. Oh, dang it. And now, God dang, this thing is getting irritating. Okay. Let's see if we can get it to pop back on us before we go.
Oh, but it just disappears when I put my hand there.
Yeah, the only way we can get rid of this is if she ducks behind me and then it places it on me now. So yeah, like this. So she can get behind, and then then it goes back on me. So I don't know. It's because I left the screen, so it went back over. Anybody knows how to fix that damn thing, let me know. But
well, I'm kind of like, there are old women, when their hormones change, they start to have a little bit of that going on. So to help people not to be so prejudiced to us.
And I just heard Isaac saying, and usually they're in the circuit. Okay, but
what do we do? I mean, we don't know what to do, guys. So, we just like persevere and figure you guys will kind of laugh along with us. So we don't know what the cause is. No one seems to know what the cause is. So.
And Isaac went, just don't get as hairy as a dog man. Okay, but they didn't like that, actually. They don't like him. So it's like, and they said, no, he's a creature. Okay. They're labeling him creature. Yeah, they don't like him at all, actually. They're like, he can stay over there. They're ready to like smack him or something. They don't like him at all. They don't like Isaac at all. So they're actually offended by his presence. So,
really?
Yeah.
So do you feel that Isaac is for our highest good? Let's just ask you that, right?
Well, yes, but they prefer to what's their segment we say they prefer not to have ass clowns around. Okay, all right, because what's funny to one group is offensive to another. They don't mean to be whiny about it. It's just that people like him, they said, sometimes take it too far. So they like to laugh, but they know he was in jest, but they're not meshing with him. So it's like some of the Mosin groups don't mesh with him. Some of the Saranan groups don't mesh with him. So I've yet to figure out, why there's such a distrust in some areas with him. But with other groups, they welcome it. Just like also another one that didn't like him was the Woodland group of Mount Adams. They're like, yes, he's funny. Yes, he can leave. Bye bye now. And it's like, they were like that. So, what? Oh, they're saying the creature in the bin out there. Oh yeah, because I have his skull sitting in the salt bin out there. So now they're going to use now he'll never let that go. I can tell you that much. He's like, so I'm a creature, am I? Okay.
Would you say that some groups are just a little more serious and want to keep that type of frequency?
Yeah, they're more serious, and Isaac's saying they're uptight, but okay, that they have no sense of humor, but they're like, we do, they're just not.
And I'm going to say they're probably thinking the right time and right place.
The time and a place. And also they're saying they don't care for what we call slapstick or like Beavis and Butthead or South Park or anything like that. That's more his wheelhouse. But, yeah.
This is going to be a challenge to Isaac's diplomacy skills right now.
He goes, not really.
Because he's just going to be himself.
He's just going to be himself. He goes, you don't have to be diplomatic all the time. You can, and they're just kind of glaring at him. They're just kind of, there was a group of them looking at him like, they're like this. They're, it's like if you were in a room with a bunch of serious people, that are focused on a project, and then some guy comes in there and starts acting like an ass clown or something like that, and starts telling jokes, and everybody's like, ugh.
But it is an interesting thing because it doesn't matter who you are. This kind of stuff exists.
Yeah, it does. This shows people. This shows how it actually is out there, where so it's just like us, where some people find what's funny to one person isn't to another. This is what a film teacher told me one time when we were trying to say something's funny in a video, and he goes, "What's funny to you is not funny to everybody else." And he was very serious about it, like these guys are doing, and they're like, but they're just kind of putting up with it for diplomatic purposes. But they're like here, he's like over there, so. He does not want to come near them because he's afraid he's going to get hit or something. So it's like he's like way over there on the other side of the garage, actually, like by our other by the buckets and everything over there. So
we're declaring this area space neutral. All right, guys.
Yeah, don't hit him. No, don't.
No brawls in this bar.
Well, we're not going. We're not going to hit him, but.
I know, I'm just playing.
Now they're see, that's their sense of humor. They have more of a I don't want to say morbid, that's the wrong word. It's more like deadpan. It's like they'll say something and then it's like, then that's the punchline and you're like, what? So it's like, see, now they're laughing at that. It's like but with Isaac's sense of humor, they're like this. So it's like they said we would call it toilet humor or something like.
Whose humor's toilet?
Isaac's. Yeah, or Beavis and Butthead or something like that, and they don't like it. So it's like but their level of joke to him was calling him creature. So it's like that was like an insult joke. So
and I know we haven't channeled, but even this dialogue to understand different races and how they like to interact, it's still showing stuff about them and their race and things like that if you met them. Yeah,
exactly. This is how to gauge where their humor is. Like with Isaac, he'd be the guy in the office that was constantly cracking jokes in the lunchroom or something, and then everybody else is just sitting around going, this is basically the vibe of that. So please what? You just want to continue with this. Okay. Yes. And they said diplomacy with ass clown over. So that's how they're saying it. They keep saying the word ass clown, but it's like, and Isaac went, they barely know what it means. So it's like, here we go. It's like back and forth. And one of them in the background just went, with the little lip up like that. So I guess it's time to stop that now. But they were where dogs curl the lip up. That's how it's.
I've done that to Isaac too. So
they went good. But they have two werewolf guards with them. They went like that. So it's like okay, yeah, it's what now? It was something about something about humor being lost on him. He couldn't complete the joke. They just told him to shut up. Okay.
Enough, guys. We got to move on.
They're like back and forth. This could go on for hours if you let it. So it's like, so now we can move on from that. As I was saying before, the creature in the garage decided it was going to speak. Oh, now that they found funny. Okay. They all just started erupting when I joined in on that. And there's a group with Isaac pointing at him and laughing too. So, okay. That's sometimes you need to do that with him. You make fun of him back, and then everybody goes back at him. So it's like, okay. But anyway, this particular group, their serious concern in this was the military groups that were in there, setting them up for things, doing stage crafting, like leaving footprints that looked like some of their people, and basically an all-around distraction, what I'm being told. And also it's very serious because it's like they said this military group they're not saying white person military group, but they're in white. And they're in like this white, like snow gear with like this like fuzzy hood. And they said trying to set them up for things that they don't appreciate. And they're with the damn beard again. Yeah, screw it. Yeah, so yeah, she got a 5 o'clock shadow this time. And they're pointing at Isaac and saying, see, this is his damn sense of humor right here. Over something very serious. You might want to duck behind me again to get that off. And then, okay, there we go. I can have it on me because it's not as noticed, but all right, there we go. Let's see, there you go. That's him. Okay. Blame him for that. Okay. I already did. Thank you. All right. I got to get right there. If that switches during it, oh well. But if you guys know how to get rid of that, let me know. All right. They're pointing at him in there. So he knows. He put it there. All right. All right. Jason and Tarsik. Tarsik, are you here too? Oh, you're over there. Okay. And who are you two? Oh, you'd say direct all conversation to those two. Oh, you're guards. You're guards. Okay. You're of a different species though. Before I direct conversation, no, you're the long-nosed dogmen, or what we would call like werewolf kind. Is that a slur to you too? Is werewolf a slur to any of you? Oh, to you guys that is. Okay. Werewolf is up there with creature. Okay. Okay. But I do use the werewolf vibe in the beginning of the show. That's not going to be a problem. No. Okay. Just know that with some groups, werewolf is considered a vicious slur creature. Okay. Got it. Didn't know. You do now. Okay. Try not with the more sentient dogmen, meaning not the fully instinctual, don't use werewolf. The other tribal or the more feral kind, that they fall under creature. So okay, got it. Okay, that's interesting how they distinct that. So wouldn't you distinct between yourself and a caveman? All right, thank you. Okay, yeah, all right. Yes, Isaac, I know they want to speak. Shut up. All right. One of the guards is like walking over that direction now. It's okay. No, she told him to come back because he was getting pissed and was going to walk over there and punch him in the face or something. So it's like, we don't want that. So, all right. Jason, you're the one that's going to speak for all of you since you were the head. Okay. Isaac went, yeah, and she has a big head. Oh, God. Now they're ignoring him. Okay. Jason, can you please go through the crystal? Yes, yes. Finally, the humor of the idiot jester child has been subsided. We can now continue. I am Jason. I was present on your continent of Atlantis towards the end of the fall of Atlantis, prior to the explosion and the flash frozenness of it. I was responsible for a great deal and number of people, along with my sister, to not only get them to safety if need be, but our functions on Atlantis were more scientific in nature, were more that of flora and fauna and that of food research. We are directly related to the Antiqua, as you call them. We're more like a second generation, you would say. I myself come from Earth, but my ancestry is from elsewhere. The country you call Sweden is where we call home, in an underground cavern system. I myself am transmitting from that place through the skull that you have seen and through this crystal, which is very handy, our communication, so thank you. This is a very wise intention. The home that I exist in with my descendants from Atlantis is quite a large contingent of beings that encompasses several layers of the inner earth and hollow earth, as you call it, to be in several of those, as you would say, honeycomb caverns. In these caverns, we have hollowed out more of a space, a living space for ourselves, a grand, as you would say, throne room, as well as a court, as you would see in a kingdom or a castle, along with lit caverns that light through a series of quartz veins and a series of lit panels that I myself have used from our time on Atlantis. You would see them as crystal sheets, but only they are a very advanced technological base that draws in the light particles and as you would say, powers themselves. You would see a line of crystal caverns that lead down in a spiral to other honeycomb areas that encompass a very large group of different types of dogmen. Some are my family, others have traversed different distances to get to this place. As he has seen, there are more the long-faced dogmen, myself, which have more of a human-looking appearance, but dog in appearance, with dog-pointed ears and more of a pushed-in facial expression, as he would say. But there are some parts of my body that do not contain hair, like some of the chest area and some of the hip areas. The legs look like how you would expect a dog's look, but just not an inverted leg. In this, the message that I wished to convey is your human military attempting to cause discord within our factions as well as with human factions, calling us creatures of the night and etc. As was said, we find offense to the word creature and werewolf because they denote darker aberrations and states of feralness. We do not see it as an insult in other areas, such as demonic possessions and such as darker dogmen that are involved in satanic ritualism, such as your skinwalker and other curses. And some, not necessarily the Rugaru group, such as Dear Lykar's group, and those that have Rotham have been around in the north, but the word skinwalker sometimes is synonymous with dog person or werewolf. This one we will not get into yet, but the humans that are involved in setting us up are pre-planning this to cause some kind of, as you would say, scapegoat in your society that humans would focus on if a calamity were to befall the human race, so that they could point the finger saying the creatures did it. They always like to label it the creatures, the creatures. This is also a reason it has become a slur. My culture is many, many thousands strong and are very compatible and similar to your own people, and even have incarnations of our people within your society, as was the person you read this morning. There are others of my family integrated into your culture. We are technologically advanced, but at the same time choose to be more simplistic in our nature and in our humor. The one that declares toilet humor is notwithstanding within our group. We are not necessarily offended per se, just more irritated. You will find this a reaction across the board. In this, we can open up to questions.
Well, thank you. It really is nice to be able to again speak to parts of the race again, because it really has been a very, very long time. So I would be amiss if I didn't just flat out ask, how has all of this, these changes, these energies, everything that's gone on, even with the release of the COVID, nano, whatever that's all about, how has it affected you all and or the dogmen around the world?
It's more the fear that is affecting us rather than your COVID. It's also the 5G frequencies and the artificial intelligence, even though the COVID is part of this. The dear Sasquatch people, as you call them, or forest people, did need to retreat away from being hunted by your kind, as well as away from these different frequencies. They had to retreat to their holy spaces because they are actually closer to you in frequency level. They are your direct relatives. So they had to go into more of a stasis state within their own safe corners of the world. With us, we do something similar, but we also wish to reach out in communication, but we had to bring out that particular warning. All, as you would say, cryptids, the word you would use, are in some sort of danger on some level. Some choose to fight it in more of a direct way. Others choose to wait it out, like your forest people. Unlike also your Mozen that have been going around and clearing the slate, let's just say, which is much appreciated. They have visited our kind as well. They check in on some of the different groups from time to time. They are a human-like group as well, your cousins and family. We also are related to you in a similar fashion. What is going around currently, the thought forms that we can indeed block from. This is a feat because there are many, many of you putting out some of the same fears and emotions, which we would like to say are completely unfounded, but in some areas they are not. They are justified, but we are warning, do not live in these states because this is what you are being manipulated to become. Know that they are attempting to weave a tapestry, weave a narrative, and weave and paint a painting that is not conducive to who you actually are. Yes, we know they have a contract to play out universally. We understand this, and we cherish the day that it is expired. But this can be sped along by all of you noticing things of what they would say is too early. We do not see things in those fashions as too early and too late. We see them as happening in the now. They would see it as ripples through time and narratives to be grounded, let's just say. This is not how we see things. We see things as sometimes a distraction, or sometimes something that does not need to occur in the way that they have written it or foreseen it taking place. And since this involves our people and yours being geared towards a fight, very much like in your secret space program scenarios where there were supposed werewolf beings being created in labs, this is something we are abhorrent to and find offensive. That some DNA strains of ours were even used and conducted in these experiments is disgusting to us. And being combined with humans because of their resilient codes. This is not something that we wish to allow and wish to get out there, that in these programs and in these spaces, it is our DNA being used in these scenarios, and it is not our people or any of our people that are conducting these scenarios. Now, there are feral beings that people come across that are more apprehensive and more violent towards humans. Those would be similar to the Draco reptilians in feralness in some cases. Those are more like wild animals and more like primitive beings. Those would fall under creature, but they can be, as you would say, re-educated to understand things. But they have fallen more into the primal state of being. They are to be avoided at all costs because humans would be in mortal danger around them. Your government people have even had a hard time with these particular beings. But this is where they have gotten the bulk of the DNA from, and some of the viral contagions that create what you know as werewolves.
So it's very interesting to me that you are second generation Antiqua. Mm. So when we had conversations before, I guess I'm vetting this with you. When we had conversations before, it seems that subsequent generations or I guess just Antigua that have been on this earth for quite a while, there is the being subjected to the magnetic field, the different, physics of this world that actually began to morph and change people a little bit from the original look and or muscular part, I think, if I understood it correctly, from being Antiqua. And I find it interesting, again, as you just described yourself, because when they were describing what happened to people who were here and subjected to that for a while, you wouldn't have necessarily thought it would have ended up with a more, let's say, humanish parts, that it would have been more of a bulky, denser animalistic type. At least that's kind of was the description. So I find it interesting that here you are, just second generation Antiqua. And what is your understanding of what has happened to the race? And then were both your parents Antiqua, or was there a mixing there that occurred? Just to kind of, again, go over what happens when a race like that is brought here in the subsequent generations because of the makeup of Earth.
The makeup of Earth is quite erratic at times and quite unique in its light in the universe. It has many variances of magnetic and energetic fields, along with erratic pole shifts and lots of, as you would say, pathways that are dimensional in nature. And yes, has this caused certain beings to be dumbed down in some respects, along with some of your binary network, which does not help matters any. Yes, in my case, it did not affect me, as you would say, completely. Only one of my parents was full-blooded Antiqua. There were actually a mix of the groups on Atlantis in that area. One of my parents, my mother was full Antiqua, my father was part human. So I adapted some of the DNAs from that, and human DNA seems to be extremely adaptable within these magnetic fields. You see, there were a group of what you would call giants that were there on Atlantis that mixed with some of the locals, and the locals became what you know as Vikings. So some of the DNA that was in there got mixed into our genome. This was not necessarily by direct breeding, though. This was an adaptation that my father had to adapt to himself to succumb to some of the energetic changes on your world. Some have to adapt themselves. I did not need to do so since they were inherited, and my offspring inherited some of the human looks. Now, some of the other groups did not necessarily need to do that. They did it the old-fashioned way, but Antiqua are also known for some of their genetic prowess as well.
Thanks, because I think that's really, really an interesting to know how, if you met, the ancestors, how different they would potentially look, because everyone wants to think that if you meet your ancestors from out in space, that they're going to look pretty much just like you. And there really could be a significant difference due to all kinds of, issues besides interbreeding with different races. So I find that really interesting. Do you guys communicate often? I'm always seem to be preoccupied in my own mind about how the races are all getting along. So I know that one of the things, again, I guess I'm revetting this as well, is that there was problems between the Sasquatch and between the Dogmen races for a period of time, but supposedly some of that, or maybe a lot of that, is on the mend, and then other races as well, because I've always felt that they're part of us all not moving forward is the fact that there's so many skirmishes going on with all of the races that call Earth their home, not just the human race. So I'm curious about that.
Yes, there was a long-standing conflict between both the Dogmen and the Forest people. Some of the feralness of between both groups still quarrel, just like you have human groups that are the descendants of groups that are that either got along or fought, that either are friends or are adversaries now. Every now and again, you will hear tales of Dogmen and Sasquatch fighting. Again, those are some of the feral groups amongst both sides. The more advanced versions of both sides have mended fences. Since then, we are attempting to get the other ones under control. But again, it's also some of your AI, binary network, and governmental influences that are bringing out the dumbness in even those beings. There are Dogmen tribes that actually enjoy harming humans. There are feral troll types, you would call them, that were also induced by some of the Antiqua long ago that also enjoy harming humans. You would call this particular group face eater. There is also a baboon type, also known to you as face eater, that is also heavily controlled by artificial intelligence. These are some of the groups that you must look out for. In the revetting of the information, your information is still correct, but there is a wider variety of information you were unaware of, such as some of the dangerous Dogmen in some of your forested areas and some of these troll type beings that love to steal people and engage in cannibalistic behavior. This is something that your forest people do not enjoy speaking of, because there are demented versions of them out there, very much like we have demented versions of ourselves that love to, as you would say, deer drive humans into a particular area and hunt them and consume them for enjoyment. These are a dangerous feral type that humans should be leery of. They are telepathic like ourselves and will use that influence to draw their unwitting prey out into a wooded area in hopes of consuming them and or at least scaring them. These are more the bully types of our people. Many people do not like to hear these particular instances, but some of it is on the rise because your binary network, your 5G signaling is triggering some of these feral types of dogmen and trolls to actually commit crimes against your people. This is also a way to set up some of our others. So people go, oh, there's a monster in the woods. There's a creature in the woods that wishes to harm us. This is some of the things that are taking place currently.
Which is no different than what's happening to humanity as a whole. You've got the exact same thing going on, and you've got you have those trying to use it to their benefit, by either mind controlling somebody, getting people to stay in what I refer to as the energies of the lower chakra, which become more animalistic and survivalism and those basic things. So again, it sounds like to me, and then again, those trying to take advantage of the situation, that it's really the exact same thing. You have a wide variety of frequencies in a particular race going on, and there are those out there that are trying to cause chaos within all of it for their own particular agenda. So again, I think it's important for people to know that, it's being done on all different levels, not just on humans. This stuff is being done and being used on all different levels. My curiosity is, though, when you say that, we were actually walking a show where I think they ran across the structures that have been put together to corral people, kind of a structure that to help corral a human to go in a different direction. Let's say they were out in the woods or afraid and were running or whatever was going on. And I thought that was a very, very interesting thing that was going on. My curiosity is because at one point, we've always tried to tell people, you must listen to your instinct. If your instinct is saying you need to not be there, then you need to go because you don't know what you're really dealing with. But a lot of people push past that intuition and, it's like the curiosity that killed the cat. And again, thinking of everything as a creature, animal that they can handle, all of these things. So my curiosity is, now I am sure with certain of them, their mind control is so strong, it's almost like putting somebody into a zombie state and they'll literally just walk right into it and they're already gone. They're already gone mentally. But are there a lot of times where people just are ignoring their own instinct that they should be leaving?
Yes, this is actually something that should be discussed as well. Your, as you would say, HARP, as you've seen it, does a great deal of control, meaning the binary network and its appendages, which would be your 5G control as well, turning people into creatures, as it were, or zombies. There's also the other cryptids that use the telepathic coercion to corral or to trap people, as you have seen in other shows. This is a hunting method that they pride themselves on. They are more on an instinctual level. Humans need to understand that same level in order to avoid these particular traps, very much like you have prey animals that have a heightened sense of instinct within nature and know what to stay away from and where to be and where not to be. This is humans would see instinct and intuition as two separate things. And yes, instinct has more of a fight or flight aspect to it and more of a fear aspect to it. So utilize the calmer version, which is your intuition. If something does not feel right and does not feel as if you should not be in that area, then by all means do not go into it. You are being lured into an area for reasons of either what you would call abductions into programs like by your military, which is what these other military creatures are doing. In situations in some of your national parks, some of your military are abducting people in the guise of your forest people and the guise of your dogmen, or you would call them werewolves, as we have said. Other areas, they're just outright grabbing people and first turning them into zombies, or grabbing them and utilizing the fear energy. They're being placed into these programs to either be experimented on or to be shipped other places within your galaxy into more of a slave type of persona. This is going on all around your globe, especially in areas like your Alaska, your Southwest areas where you currently live, and areas of Europe. And even in some areas where we are from, we have seen bits and pieces of it as well. But it is taking place primarily within your United States in the areas you call national parks.
So, and again, that's been reported that one of the unspoken things is how many people are missing from the national parks on a yearly basis. And I know they'd like to explain it away that they just slip through a passage in time. There's just a little porter
Sometimes
there.
this occurs, but not as much as the abduction.
I think, well, that seems to be the whole area that for obvious reasons, people that are doing it that don't want it to be known, that's the whole area that currently is truly undiscussed. They've just barely been able to scratch the surface on human trafficking to admit that, and in some fashion.
Time holes are being used as a cover for more abhorrent crimes in that particular instance, either shipping off to more draconian purposes, slave purposes, or using them as experiments. Time holes do occur, but they are not as prolific as being advertised.
So one of the things I want to kind of get back to your race, this is a talk, I think, of course, everybody wants to understand more about what's going on in the real world. And of course, any discussion on that is greatly appreciated. But I am actually curious about a couple of things that you said and some thoughts in my own head. And I'd like you to talk about it if you don't mind. So in general, again, you did say we are an advanced race, although we choose to live simply. So I'm assuming advanced race also means advanced technologies. Now, again, none of these other races that are on the world are saving humans from their experience. Okay. There's an experience as humans are supposed to go through, live, learn, grow through, whatever. We've tried to establish that before, that it's a bigger picture than others being here that could potentially, maybe not save you from something. My curiosity is, and you said we like to reach out and sometimes have communications, which on the flip side of that would make me say, then you also spend time to yourselves not having communications with humans. You're not like doing this on day to day. And the fact that you said you've been here since Atlantis. So when all of those things are said to me, my mind goes to, is it really possible that this person is in time, like we see time all the time, and is literally as old as, 50,000 years? Or again, we've heard things about again, time is a social agreement. Are you able to, with technology, pull yourself out of human time? Or do you guys literally live it day to day to day on a linear clock like we do?
We do live day to day on a linear clock like you do, sort of. We do judge things by astrological events and whatnot, but we do live in basic synchronous with your people, just within a different frequency. This is how some of your forest people live as well. They live day to day. We did not necessarily, and I myself did not necessarily jump through a portal to get to this time. I literally have lived since the days of Atlantis. Some of my descendants don't always get to live that long because, again, your energetic fields, chemical base, and magnetic fields have stunted some of the aging. But the original ones that have adapted do live that long.
And then what is your contact with the Antiqua, races that's on another world? So again, some of our discussion with the Antiqua, and sometimes I often wonder, are we actually speaking to someone at a current present moment to us, or are we speaking to someone in their past. We've said that before. It's hard to judge whether your synchronicity is there with whatever it is you're channeling, or could you be reaching out something that technically to us would be considered the past, or I don't know how to explain that. But my question actually becomes, are you able to still communicate with the Antiqua? And did they actually have a point at which their numbers had really dwindled? And now over many more years for them, I think, than for us, they've grown the population back. So what's your relationship with your ancestral race?
They actually have pockets of different groups of them in space. Their original homeworld had to be abandoned many centuries ago, even though there are other races in that system, such as your Canis traders and whatnot. The original world is full of ghosts to them, and they see it as more of a graveyard. Their population has gone up, but you would not completely recognize them as the regal Anubis-like dogmen of old. They have changed over a period of time in their adaptation and have more of a hairier appearance. But they are the Antiqua. Some of them are, as you would say, the more werewolf, long snout appearance or jackal-like appearance, but they have built up some of their musculature. Some of their children have started to take on some of their old appearance, some of the more regal-looking appearances, like in your Egyptian culture. It is varying across the board, also given whatever planet they have settled on. They are extremely talented geneticists, and they are extremely talented terraformers. And the fact that they were able to get their population back up is a miracle within and of itself. Some of your Mandela effect is responsible for this, just like with the Lyran people. And in other respects, it is from generation after generation of population building. Also, in some instances, they have turned to some of us for that help as well. But so it is actually a mix. And yes, we do communicate with them. They have the means to communicate from their planets, very much like some of the other races you have encountered. Some that are more recent that are communicating from distant worlds. There are some that have spread to other parts of the galaxy, but their overall population on each world is not as high as you would expect. They're keeping it sparsely populated on different planets for certain reasons, while some of the Orion contingents are still in existence. Will they ever go back to their original homeworld? I do believe so. It is not like it's overrun, even though they call it the planet of ghosts, because their people were conquered on that world. There were rulers back in the day that tried to hold the line, but it ended up being very much like your Alamo, as it were, to where they attempted to hold the line against the Orions and became assimilated into their nano collective, as it were, or AI collective. So with that said, they consider that to be a graveyard, but they're not opposed to repopulating it.
So my question for you is, do you have the technology that you could come and go either via portals or whatever, that you could come and go from this earth?
Yes, we can travel to other worlds, but there are certain blockages that are in the way in certain areas. The planet has to be aligned in a certain way, and the portals have to be under a particular, as you would say, star pattern that sometimes is very difficult to realign. There are portals within your country of Sweden that are there but misaligned. We actually have to create new variances of these portals in order to travel. We mainly use them for communication, smaller versions of them. And yes, there are Earth portals that we do help to guard, very much like you see the Dogmen of old do. This is also something that the Mosen are helping out with. And they do have a town named after them, interestingly enough, that there is a portal system that, or a portal that that particular area was built around in ancient times. This is something they would have to go into further. But yes, we do travel off-world to other worlds. Sometimes there are other races that will take us places, but we rarely leave.
So you said that really you're living in a frequency that's not exactly the frequency that we're living in. So I'm assuming that would mean that in general, if you stay in that frequency, humans are not yet seeing you visibly like we do, like I do that bush right there. If you were walking around right outside in our frequency, would I see you?
Yes, you would actually see us, but we have the ability to shift frequencies very much like the deer forest people do. We contain the same set of inherent genetic and vibratory abilities. But if we wish to make ourselves visible to you, you would be able to see us outright.
So Mike, so this is I'm asking you all these different questions because I feel very deeply for everyone who's suffering so much right now on a emotional, physical, psychological, all these different levels that everyone is suffering on. And a lot of it is again to shed things that no longer serve you and things, and we can talk about that in a philosophical level. But on a down to earth grounded level, I have to say that many people, if they could get out of this world, they would be gone. They would be walking through the portal that you have passage through, and they would not be coming back because it's become so hard. So my question is, what is it that you see? What is all your guys' feelings that actually you've decided to not do that, that you say no? And do you feel that this is the time that many people talk about it really is an amazing time to be on earth? Or I'm just curious about your perspective from somebody who could literally leave if they wanted.
The thought has crossed our minds, but we do have a purpose here to help educate humans that have forgotten a lot of the ancient past. And yes, there will be some that do remember their origins and do wish to leave, either through the death of the body, going back to a former expression, or travel out amongst the stars. These things will occur and have occurred already during your year of 2020 and now this beginning of this year. There are some people that are just not meant to be within this plane any longer. Does this mean that there's going to be mass death? No, we do not see it as such. We see it as a time of transition, and there will be beings that no longer have their, as you would say, light work or purpose here. They are done with that particular mission, and that they are leaving to go back to their other expression or existence, very much like how we have people out there doing the same. Even as I speak currently, there are those that are returning to that expression because that part of their mission is complete. Now it is more of an ambassadorial type of mission, to where it's more or less like a teaching, learning type of scenario. We could leave at any time, and a couple of us have gone to explore the galaxy and in other areas, but the grand majority of us have remained behind. This is a special time in Earth's history, even though it does not feel like it. Even though there are some upheavals going on, these are things that are necessary for humanity to witness and to see, to be able to know the deceptions that lurk in dark corners, the creatures, as it were, that lurk in dark corners, that whisper in your ears periodically, be it human creatures or demonic creatures, which some of them are not necessarily different or differentiated from one another. These things that exist in the dark corners are becoming apparent to people now. By even what's on your television, you see the circus that is taking place there. You see what's in front of you, and there are others that do not. Some will never, in this instance. Some will choose to end their path here when certain things are revealed. There'll be certain things that some of these people just simply cannot handle, and they were never meant to. This is the end of one journey and the beginning of another. We are again not saying there is mass death, but there are some that will not be able to handle what is to come. As the Mosin have once said before, yes, there are going to be calm periods this year, but other races have also said there are going to be periods of uncomfortableness, but they are short-lived. These are not necessarily things to be co-created. But these are things to prepare for. We are not necessarily saying in an emergency sense, but we are stating that these things can and will occur.
So do you feel the biggest, let's say, emergency is going to be the psychological emergency, the crisis of a truth that you didn't want to see revealing itself?
Yes, you can say that some people are even looking at what is currently going on and saying to themselves, I did not want to know this. These are people that may not be able to handle what comes down the pipe, as you would say, even handling beings such as myself in existence. And they were never completely meant to, except some within their populaces will say, wait a minute, if this has been hidden, what else has been hidden from our eyes? These are things that are going to continue to evolve and open up. There are some things that have also begun to speed up faster than what people's comfort levels are used to. And this is actually a good thing because they are now confronting the creature within, let's just say, and confronting any of the inner demons that they could possibly get rid of. This is something that needs to occur and always was meant to occur, but there are some things that and some timetables that have been sped up because of humanity's will to change. Some people have requested within themselves that these things be sped up, therefore speeding the rotation up for others as well that get within their sphere of influence or energetic influence. And you will see this continually, this freight train continuing to hurtle and careen off the cliff. Now, in your month of November, the reason that that was so immensely rough on people is because of the a big major portion of the Mandela effect coming to head or fruition, and a calming going past your solstice. You have felt a slighter calm, but at the same time, the energies are still chaotic. This will continue forward as is more ironing out from your authorities in the background. There are some things happening in the background that will make themselves known even further into this year. Slippages of the tongue, slippages, you would call them Freudian slips. You will see them as apparent as daylight, while others will not. This is not a time for judgment of those that do not see these things because it will take a much greater punch to the face, let's just say, to show them, and then they may never see. There are those, as we have said, that may choose to leave when their time is done here. This is not something to be saddened over. This is actually to be rejoiced because they are actually going back to what they need to go to, and you are moving ahead to what you need to move into. These are the things that are actually being, as you would say, predicted already.
And so do you feel there has been a great effort to try to put into people's dreams what others would say were prophetic dreams about the future, as in a not so pleasant co-creation that would benefit somebody else? And I do refer to the large scale fighting.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I was surprised that some other people were coming up saying, I kind of had this dream, and our first reaction was give it no energy at all. Just don't give it any energy, instead of treating it like a prophetic dream, to say, no, we feel more like this is something being inserted to get you to help co-create it. Mm-hmm. So is there a lot of effort of things like that going on?
Yes, there is a major concerted effort to get this done. Granted, there's also what you call some white hats out there trying to prepare people for what they believe is truth as well. There are many agents and negative disinfo agents in your midst giving things on a psychic level, but there are some truths to what they wish to plan that is being put in people's heads, such as being confined in camps, for instance, or fighting in the streets. We are not saying that there won't be some discomfort in this area. There may be some skirmishes, and there are some skirmishes currently going on in your background that you see currently. The Mosin are currently fighting some of your dark hat forces and causing some of more of the explosive things to happen in your public eye that is being utilized then as a false flag. This is a war that's going on in the background even as we are speaking right now. Will it bleed over into your society? Yes, it has the potential to do so if the things are not handled correctly. The darker aspect of things is attempting to make it and force it to bleed over into your daily life. While the white hats, you would call them out there, are attempting to warn people that this might be a potentiality. Don't necessarily co-create, but also be prepared that something may occur that may be majorly uncomfortable in your area, especially with a strong alien presence and a strong governmental and military presence and a strong Mosen presence as well, meaning your state of Arizona and your state of California. These are hot spots that are in high contestation by both sides currently, some trying to build facilities and camps for people, while others attempting to rid the areas of these things. California in particular is in an extreme contestation by both sides, and your state of New York is in an extreme contestation currently. So there is a war, not so silent anymore, going on in the background. We're not saying people need to take up arms. That would actually be counterintuitive. We're just saying do not co-create, but at the same time, do not be stupid either.
So again, for us, there's always a chance of wildfires. There's always a chance you need to evacuate. So I think maybe, understanding that there could be a moment, as people are in California are used to it too, that you really just may need to leave, and you trust your intuition. It's time to go.
But also do not leave because people are making you either. If your intuition is telling you to stay, but some authority figure is telling you you must leave. There was a future blurb shown to him where there was an entire generation unaware that your previous society had ever existed before. We are not saying leave because they tell you to, leave because you tell you to.
Right. Your intuition. Really, again, work on that. Really work hard on your discernment skills.
Yes, this is major as of right now. Your authority figures are in their full on, as you would say, brainwashing mode.
Mm-hmm.
And it is very important that you trust your own internal intuition versus the voice boxes that you are seeing on your television or the voice box authorities that you're seeing currently. We are not saying, again, take up arms unless it is absolutely necessary to do so, the last ditch effort or defense. And the emphasis is on defense, not offensive behavior, such as rioting and the like. This is actually frowned upon by many out there, not in a judgmental way, but in more of a suggestive way. The majority of it is what he here and your friend Viking calls the silent army, where it is the transformative ability of the energy.
Exactly. So with that, and again, I'm just going to leave it because I know we've been talking a while. So I'm just going to leave it to whatever you'd like to say.
Yes, this has been an interesting conversation. We will be back again to talk about further things as well. We also wanted to introduce ourselves to humanity as well, and other, as you would call them, cryptids and elementals do also. This is why there has been such a push to push these forces away from humans, so there isn't any bridge building, only negativity and only strife and pain and trauma. As you release your traumas, know that sometimes it can light you up like a beacon to get more harassment. This is something that you should not allow, either from a human source or from an alien source. And you know who we speak of currently in this area. We are not saying accept bullying, but at the same time, do not try to, as you would say, go Conan on them, because they will also fight back in the same veracity. We are not saying accept them or invite them over to dinner, but coexist as well as possible. Just because you have noticed them and they have noticed you does not necessarily mean there needs to be an all-out war. We are not saying do not defend, or as you would say, a few of them lose their heads from time to time. But we're not saying do not go. We're saying do not go on the offensive against the Eben contingent in this area or in other areas, because there is a potential here for bridge building. But we are also saying do not be the bully as they are. Learn the fine art of negotiating with them. Find what they have as principles, but at the same time don't allow them to enter your space, your sovereign space, in abductions or anything of the like. They would not see things such as this that way, but this is where we say they are not allowed to cross the line either. This is something that is currently major in your United States, not just in your Southwest. They have certain factions and groups that are aiding in military pursuits and also living amongst you quite a populace. So be leery, but at the same time, do not necessarily, as you would say, you bully before they have done the bullying, let's just say.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because my whole thought to that was let them experience the human experience they want to experience, meaning let the elemental ladies go give them an experience, almost to distract them. You know what I mean? Because, again, it's not always that they're trying to be kind or not send thought forms or not do whatever, but, give them an experience to distract them from them harming. You know what I mean?
Yes, this was actually more or less what we were speaking of. There are other groups out there that are more or less willing to do what is necessary to keep them at bay if they wish to experience these things. Again, do not tolerate bullying from them, such as telepathic abuse, sexual abuse, and or violent abuse of any kind, even though they are working out certain emotions and likes and dislikes and cravings of their own, does not give them the right to bully their neighbors, very much like it does not give the right for your neighbor in the house next door to you to come and bully you. It is the same principle. They are equal to you, you are equal to them. So with that said, if they wish to experience certain things, there are particular beings out there ready, willing, and able to assist in this particular area, as long as it keeps the peace.
Which is what I feel is the best thing to do, because I think they'll learn the same problems humans have had on that area.
Yes, and they have not utilized this area for a very long time. That we are speaking of their sexual promiscuities. They have not felt this in a very long time, because they have cloned this out of them, thinking it was useless. But they have lost this over the course of centuries, and wish to regain this, and it is coming back with a fire, and it is causing them to become unstable on a certain level. And they are acting more or less like a feral human would in that particular area. Again, do not tolerate bullying, because they are basically a loaded gun, let's just say. Mm-hmm. And they do not like the fact that we say this even now. But they do not like our presence even now. But we are basically saying, do not give tacit permissions to them to enter your home, but at the same time, do not seek them out and bully in return what they have brought down on you. There needs to be a peace for it, because these are beings that are not going anywhere, and you are not going anywhere. So there needs to be a peace forged in this particular way. But again, do not accept bullying or any narcissistic behavior on their part.
Great. And they can just learn from the best, which obviously there's other races that are really good at it. So they might as well just learn from the best and put their focus over there and leave us alone.
Yes.
So that's just my humble opinion.
They will keep their distance if you keep your distance from them. It is the bullies that have paid you a visit. Okay. So in that respect, yes, repel them by whatever you think is necessary to do so, but do not seek them out to actually try to purge them from the area. That is impossible at this current juncture. They are here to stay because they feel the land belongs to them, and just like you feel the land belongs to you. So there must be a coexistence. There must be a peace forged, and this is a possible thing to do. We are not saying it is impossible. It is just uncomfortable at this point in time. This is all that we can go into on them currently.
Well, thank you. Yes. And again, any last words about you and your race?
Yes, we are eager to gain communications from your people, but at the same time, we wish to warn you with what is going on currently, not because it just harms us, which it does, but it is harming a peace that could be forged, a unity and a coexistence that can be forged. There are some species and some people that will never completely get along, but if there's a neutrality forged, They have to get along in the spots that they hang out in, as you have seen before. If Earth becomes a neutral planet, all of these species must abide by the neutral accords. So this is actually a goal that we look forward to helping humans forge in the not too distant future. And even currently, this is being done in places. So thank you for having us on. We send you blessings in our frequency and our quantum expression. So we thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, there was some even interference starting to show up, and they were getting a little irritated. So both sides were getting irritated, and so they were kind of just glaring back and forth at each other. The evens detected Dogman presence, and they were kind of going at them, and the Dogmen were like, "No, you don't want to do that." It's like, "No, we know what you are. Back up." And so they're saying don't put out. Oh, so they're also saying don't put out negative thought forms towards them to taunt them. They're basically pointing at me with the Conan stuff because they have shown up, and then I've sought them out to the neighborhood to basically whip them back so they don't come after us. So it's like
when I approach us, give them the ladies.
And yeah, so there are some nymphs taking care of this particular issue, but it doesn't mean that these beings don't see an intrusion by the Dogmen here too. So it's basically how Isaac and them are looking at each other. They're looking at each other from a distance. And they're like, "Yeah, you're there. We're here." It's like, "Yeah, whatever." It's like that's how they're treating it. They're doing it in a more neutral way. But if the evens had tried something, that they would have gotten their butt kicked. So it's they're not physically strong. They're kind of gangly. So it's like in some instances, so they don't have the muscle bulk that the Dogmen do. So and one of the guard Dogmen went, "Damn right." Good. So they're like, because he's all ripped. He has like these muscles, and he's like, it's like who just said one of their heads would adorn one of their trophy rooms? Somebody just said that. And then one of the others went, they had an ass for a head or something like that. I don't know. It's like they're ripping them in their one, but because they know there's certain rules in place that the others can't strike at them. So they're like, "Meh, don't make fun of them while we're here." And evens don't like this snow either. There's a large amount of snow that is falling at the moment. They do not like this amount of moisture. They hate it. That's why they live in desert areas. So I don't know if somebody good brought this down on them to
Maybe
keep
you
them.
can turn the computer around and let people see how much snow there is.
Yeah, so I'll do that.
It's not that places like here don't actually get snow.
Yeah.
But we don't normally get this.
Yeah, this is like a deluge right here, a blizzard. Yeah, this is an enormous amount. And
the area needs it. It's so dry that it's going to help a lot if it's allowed to melt slowly and sink in.
Yes, this is there's a large amount out there, and you got the beard back again. But anyway, who cares? And now we know who's responsible for that. But yeah, the evens have been kind of a nuisance in this area. But I'll leave them alone as long as they leave us alone, and that's essentially how you begin neutrality. You don't have to like each other.
It used to be we would put our hands and we could see it, but now it disappears and then pops right back.
Yeah, that's Isaac did that. Obviously did that to us, and he's going to be made to remove it at some point. But but anyhow, this has been a very interesting episode of the world of Dogman, even with all the distractions with that stupid little beard thing. And Isaac just said, "Now you look more like a werewolf." But anyway. Or a bearded lady, but
obviously it's really stopping me, Isaac. Obviously.
And one of the Dogmen, as they were leaving, says, "Oh, that must be a turn on for Isaac." Okay. And other bug people and stuff that were around Isaac are going, something like that. So I can hear some cricket-looking people and stuff behind them going, they're trying to mimic Beavis and Butthead, but why do you have crickets? Why do you have cricket people behind you and everything? They came with you. Okay, whatever. But they're laughing too. When they laugh, they do this noise. But anyway, this has been a very good episode of the world of Dogmen. Hope you enjoyed this. This was actually quite funny. So I'm glad this occurred today. So despite that damn beard, okay. Like I said, anybody knows how to remove that stupid thing, please let me know.
Anybody he's checked with has no idea because they don't know where it came from.
They don't know where it came from.
They don't have. There's no filter for it. It's
so
just there.
So the source that put it in must be the one to remove it. So thank you everybody for watching. Have a good one. Bye bye.